Hey, yo, welcome to the QB School Show. Let's get it going right out the gate. Let me know how I sound. Hit me with your favorite emoji. You should know the drill. Boom. Hit that like while you're at it. I appreciate it. Thanks for checking in. Cooper, love the CFL video. Appreciate it, sir. Whoa, Mike, strong. I don't know if I go all the way there. Brian, what's going on? Peyton in the house. What's good? There has never been a better time in Alive to crank in the questions. Now is the time. We'll get them going and lock this thing in. We got a little May ball here, a little May football. I'm assuming some people are probably winding down or winding up their spring ball. We're kind of ramping back up the offseason program out here in Cali. Amari Woods, appreciate you. All good. Garrett Lord. Hey. Oh, Mike. Coming in hard. Appreciate you. Lego. Let's go. Brian, appreciate it. We've got some Sam Howell coming to the channel this week. Tomorrow video, UNC versus Notre Dame. Not going to lie, not the best quarterback performance I've ever seen. But I feel like they were a little overwhelmed at the line of scrimmage, Tar Heel wise. So I'm actually excited. I'll probably flip it and just do another one the next day. We'll see though. See if the inspiration hits me or if someone comes in with a good question today. Boom. Just starting the playoffs. Limbert TV, where are you? Good for you. Zach Moore. I have not watched any more Malik Willis. I'm sure I will at some point, though. Miguel. It's tough. Why does it have to be either or? Why can't it just be both? Why can't we live with both? I'm good. Oh, Lego. You hit me right out the gate. I didn't want to do it. I just saw the name. Lego Maego. Tim Tebow. Back, but at tight end. What do you think? Will he have a great year or bust? I mean, it's not even really a bust, is it? Like, to have a great year, what would be a great year for a guy who, I want to say, hasn't been in the league for almost a decade, 8 years, come back to play a different position? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't have anything nice to say. I don't know. I mean, I have many thoughts, none of which I'm comfortable sharing in a public forum, but it's not for me. Oh, we got Russia checking in. Timur, appreciate that. Everglades, boom, love it. Connor, any plans to do a video on the UCF quarterback? ESPN tackled him very high, but I don't quite agree. Also, haven't watched enough. I never watched one snap of it. I don't know who it is, but if you tell me the name and you send me the all 22, I will do my best to take a peek at it. I will be kind of like all over the map on these summer videos, May, June. I feel like we can kind of like free reign, do whatever we want. No one's like expecting a NFL video, college football video, X's and O's video, leadership video, CFL video. It's the best. YouTube. 3,000 days, Brian. I mean, I don't know. Austin Gordon, do you host any camps or know of any good ones? I do not host any camps. There are a bunch of quarterback camps. Obviously, depending on where you're at, I think the one that I probably would be most interested in going to, just because he probably goes much deeper in certain areas. But I would say, God, what does Jordan call it? Jordan Palmer does camps, the QB Summit. Is that right? I always think of Tahoe. Those would probably be ones. I'm not in the camp game. The camp is tough. It's tough. I like the impact that it can have in a short amount of time, making a difference. But I went to camps actually when I was a high schooler and really enjoyed them. It's just a lot. It's a lot. You got to go somewhere. I recommend it if you're trying to get your game better, especially if you're not even if you're getting frustrated. Like, I had really good high school coaches. It's just good to hear a different point of view. You don't have to take everything you get at a camp and be like, I'm going to do exactly what this camp counselor said. But if you hear like a nugget or something, like I remember the first time I really knew how to like pronate, and they didn't call it this, but like they used to call it thumb to crotch at the camp I went to, or thumb to hip. And it was just, now I had a language or a lexicon to be able to describe how I was throwing it just naturally. And so it was fun to kind of build up just hearing other people coach it. And it was so hard to get information back then. So, but camps are back, I think, for the most part, I think. There you go, Austin. You see, you knew. I think they're all over the place, but I don't know for sure. Godson. Does the Trey Lance inaccuracies in the Central Arkansas game give more caution than Fields' indecision in the Indiana game? I feel like it's a false question. Like, neither bother me. One-offs. We'll see. It's the body of work. I know that's hard, especially for the Trey Lance thing, because it's just hard to get in. Nobody who isn't in the NFL has a real evaluation of Trey Lance, in my opinion. And even those are built off non-film things. I mean, the bones are film, but they're from so long ago that you would expect significant improvement across the board. And so, a one-off showcase game during a pandemic bothers me zero. Brian, I imagine the starter doesn't spend much time teaching their backup much, but there's always something to learn. Who is the QB you learned the most from in the league? That's an excellent question. I would say I don't think that there's like a tiered rank. And again, I know I fight this on this channel, and then I'm a hypocrite to myself, but I really dislike the list kind of vibe. I almost learned different things from different guys, and it really mirrored probably what those other quarterbacks brought to the table in just where I was out in my career evolution of playing. But if I had to say like who I learned the absolute most from, it would probably be Jake Delhomme, just because he got me when he got me. We were together when I was a rookie, and I just was a blank slate, and as far as the league was concerned, and so soaked up as much as I could from him. And he was a great one because worked hard, true pro, tough as hell, did just about everything the right way. It was a good guy to kind of model as far as seeing him work every single day. But really, I could go down the list of almost every dude I played with, and I hijacked something from their game. It might not be everything. It certainly wasn't everything. There were many guys that I couldn't do what they did. But I could take something that they did on certain concepts or anticipation throws or timing or drills or footwork or meetings or how they interacted in the locker room, told stories, elevated the room, those types of things that I intentionally hijacked from damn near everybody. And I would encourage everyone, even if you're not done, I'm sure people in this chat are kind of all over the spectrum of football, whether it's diehard fan, coach, player, I'm the same way even now coaching. Like, I'm always trying to like pick and tease out little things that I could learn from other coaches, other players that I could use in my game. Not, hijack everything, but there are little bits and pieces that you should be stealing all over the place. And I don't think that's siloed off to football. That's any sector. So go for it. Brian Trulin, JT. Can you ever post some throwing workouts of you? We want to see how you spin it out, bro. You got to go back to the standard def, bro. It's out there somewhere. They're out there. I'm not spreading it. Although I have shown it in the Patreon community. I did a video. Boom. Yeah, see, there you go, Brian. Rick Thomas. What defenses / coverages have given you the most trouble at Patrick Henry? How do you attack those schools? Ooh, Rick, do you coach in San Diego, bro? That's a good question. We struggled. I've only been there 2 years. Not really 2 years, like 1.5 years. The first year we were more of a 10 personnel team, and we struggled against some teams that were running the bare mint zero against us. It was frustrating for me. It was on a number of levels, but as a player, I would have loved to have faced mint bare zero. To me, I'm going to throw a post or a go or a perimeter screen all day, every day, and we'll chuck it 75 times. Well, as a play caller, I would call it, but I couldn't catch it, and I couldn't throw it, and I couldn't block it, and I couldn't teach them well enough to do it. And so we couldn't do that. And we were a really good RPO team, and they basically gave us 2 middle fingers and said, you ain't doing that. 7 in the box versus 10 personnel and play zero. And, we struggled. So learning from that, I think this year we're a little bit more multiple and able to kind of take advantage of what those things look like and attack the edge a little bit different ways. So I'd say that was definitely the first year got us a little bit late in the season when people kind of caught up to our RPO game out here. I like it, Rick. Good question. What else we got? Alejo, what's good? What's good? Bruh. Edge Sanity 13. I don't know. It's going to take a while for me to admit that. Big dog. Coffee with Coach. Ayo. Who, defensive coordinator, did you have the hardest time against? Anyone throw some things you never saw before that maybe we see more of now? Hardest time. I would say, I remember having the worst time. Why can't I think of the guy's name? It starts with a V. I'm going to have to go Google it afterwards. Whoever was the coordinator in New Orleans, my first couple years, it was really, what was the name? Haslins? Who was the head coach in New Orleans? Haskins? Having a senior moment. Jim Haskins. Is that right? It sounds like I'm not saying it correctly. He was the head coach, but the coordinator was like Vinati. They used to run, and I had never seen it in college before, cloud, like 2-trap a lot. And so I was just used to, if I was hot, I would just throw a flat or throw a swing in college, and you're good to go. Well, came out there in minicamp, first couple mini camps and training camp, and I would like throw the hot, and the corner would be like, to give like the corner practice, like, woo, like they're going to blow them up or something, like go by and shoot their gun. And they were like, 2-trap is a little bit different of an animal. And it's a little bit harder, I feel like, in the league. I remember getting corner blitzed in college, but when you're on the boundary in college with the wide hashes, I feel like you can see the rotation of the safety. In the college game or in the pro game with the tighter hash, it's harder to like see your wide flanks, I thought it was. And people just don't do it as much because you do have tighter hashes. And so I wasn't comfortable seeing that like cloud with like the rotation and hit with zone pressure. So zone 2-trap, I think, was probably giving me my biggest issues. Like definitely I remember being a struggle the first camp, 2 camps, where I would have to learn to be like, okay, don't throw the flat or the wide hot. You have to like go back into the inside tight end running like a little pop or peek hot. And it was unnatural. Hazlitt. Nice, Landon. I could think of the nickname that we used to call him, but I didn't want to say it. I can't think of the defense coordinator, though. It's going to bother me. I'll Google it after this thing. Or someone hit me in the chat. Cameron Brown. Hey, JT, what is the hardest thing about being a quarterback in the NFL, and how do you get your spiral so good? Love your channel, by the way. Lots of ways to work on the spiral. I did a video, actually, how to throw a spiral, where I give away a few of my favorite drills. What was the other thing? Hardest thing about being a quarterback in the league. I don't know if I would ever be like, this is the one hardest thing. I would think for me, it was just the volatility or the uncertainty of the, never being in a stable spot long enough to like really sink down and feel like you either were the quarterback or locked in with an organization, a staff. So that kind of uncertainty, ambiguity of your situation was probably the biggest thing. I think a lot of guys deal with that. It's not just quarterbacks. It's any professional sport or any kind of like high turnover industry. Boom. Garrett Lord. I'm 23 and I'm about to be the quarterback's coach for my high school in VA. What's your best advice for me? My best advice for you would be to be the best assistant on the staff. What do I mean by that? I mean, explicitly ask your head coach how best you can help serve him, help them, help the program. Explicitly get with your coordinator to know exactly what the expectations are for your position. Go above and beyond, help set up, show up early, offer to do the scripts, the cards, less like X's and O scheme suggestion, more personal development for your players, make individual concerted intentional effort to build those relationships with your position group and outside your position group, have fun going against the defense, those types of things. But just go above and beyond to try to help your coordinator, head coach, and elevate the group collectively. And don't think like, man, what is the best drill I could do? Like that stuff that matters almost zero in my opinion. Strange boy. How much weight do you think coaches place on seeing a QB prospect play in a pro-style offense? And what aspects of pro-style offenses most translate? That is, do most people know that IE is an abbreviation for that is? I don't know. Calling the line adjustments, play action. A few different questions in there. Let me see if I make sure I can get it. How much weight do you think coaches see? I think bad coaches probably put a lot of weight into that. I think the idea, at least the way that I understand evaluation when it comes to that, is how can you project what they will be able to help your organization, your fit, your team, your offense. And if you see someone take an under center snap and hand off wide zone or do a big time play action, rip throw down the field, it's an easy, explicit way to say, yes, he could do that there. He could do that for us if that's how we run a pro style. I don't think of pro style as like making line adjustments necessarily. I think of it as having the ability to play under center. I think it's the ability to be maybe a bit more multiple and adaptable in the scheme, meaning like under center, gun, 21 personnel, 11 personnel, bouncing that around, changing that, what the offense looks like, the tempo of it, just being that. The thing for me about pro offense is it's just so much volume. They carry everything. Just because your team, say you're a fan of the Ravens, that they have this heavy, extensive run game, they probably have everything. They just don't do everything. And so that's the way that I think most pro-style offenses are built. Now, it obviously depends on the personnel and all those things, but I think it's an easy check of a box to say, yeah, he runs a pro-style offense. He has the capacity to do that, but I don't think anybody at the college level is running a true, pro NFL offense with the kind of volume that you would carry through the course of a season in the NFL. It's just, it's almost impossible with the time constraints and what you're allowed to do in the league. So, boom. Brian, you're welcome. B. Favre practice stories. See here. I think this one is pretty well known. I don't think I was there for this, though. Nah, I don't want to tell one that I wasn't there for. I don't know. Let me think about it. Come back to me. See which ones I'm comfortable sharing. Colin Sanders. Oh, we got 104 of our closest friends hanging out. Little Monday, May style. Michael Leon. Yes, I do. Colin Sanders. Hey, JT, do you think we'll see a resurrection in the fullback position in the future with teams putting more emphasis on defensive players being more agile and capable of covering speedy guys? A resurrection of the fullback? I mean, I would say, don't most teams, I don't know. I'm sure somebody in this chat probably knows the percentages of rosters that carry a fullback versus rosters that carry like a true like hybrid guy or H guy. I would say at some point, I always think of football as so kind of cyclical that it will rotate back into kind of more prominent vibe, but I feel like it already is to a certain degree. I personally just think that fullback is a tough spot to recruit, to develop, to find guys that are like that, because they're usually in high school, probably your linebackers. If they're really good, they're going to be the tailback. If they're really big, they're going to be the guard. I don't know how many teams are running fullback all the time type things. It's just it's a tough position to get because it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like I'm not going to say anything. Now I feel like the sniffer tight end off position is just more multiple. And I think don't tell this to the fullback people, but it's better. And the main reason it's better is because it allows you to have the vertical threat. Now you have to run verticals from that sniffer position, but very rarely do you see like an offset back. And that's why it's such a good play when the fullback or tailback runs vertical from sidecar. Let alone I formation almost never happens, or very rare unicornish. But that sniffer can really get vertical, and that's why I think it's just better. And you can run damn near everything you want from that, or at least I think you can. Can't run fullback belly, but it's just me. And I think those positions are easier to find guys that can play that sniffer position. Boom. Garrett, appreciate you. Whoa, upset Cub fan. I don't know. He never said anything like that to me. Rajiv Pavan. Any chance we can get a Kenny Pickett breakdown? I do not have any Pitt all 22 right now. So if you have Pitt all 22, hit me with it. Z, what's good? Rick Thomas, what did you appreciate about Mike McCarthy as an offensive coordinator and play caller? I liked a lot about Mike McCarthy's stuff. I thought it was comprehensive. I thought he did a great job of getting the best players the ball. He was very intentional with getting guys at the time. This could go memory lane here. Deuce was our tailback. Joe Horn on the perimeter. Dante was a rookie on the perimeter. Boo Williams was a pretty talented tight end for us. I would have little special packages. I thought he was really the first guy that I was like, oh, we're really. When we were in college, we crafted plays for certain guys, but this was very intentional. Like, hey, these are plays for Joe. These are plays for Deuce. Like things like that I really enjoyed. And then I thought the structure of the reads and how we taught them bucketed really nicely. And it was never that smooth of an offense just because of the personnel we had in kind of places, certain places. But the way that he put it all together, I really liked. It was probably more than many other places. And I don't mean more like concepts. I just mean more ways to do the same stuff, like unnecessarily dense verbiage that I don't want anything to do with ever teaching or being around again. But we certainly could put any person anywhere. Did we ever do that? Not all the time, but we could have. So there are bits and pieces of that, but I loved how he broke it down. He actually, I'm sure he stole this from someone else, but the reason this place is called the quarterback school is because we ran the quarterback school in New Orleans. And that was where I felt like I learned the most in these off seasons, where you really spend time studying every concept, every, protection, those types of things. So Mike's fingerprints are all over this channel. Boom. Ryan Lewis. I think I have some videos on Jalen Hurts. They're probably better than my kind of off-the-cuff hot takes. Boom. Mike coming in hot. Anonymous YouTuber coming in hot. Got myself up. Appreciate it, Patrick Collins. Oh, man. Rick coming in with some good ones. Oh, I see you, John. Oh, that's a good one. John Ebram. How was Hard Knocks being with the Bengals in 2009? You looked great during the episodes. Did I? I was pretty good about I felt like not being on those episodes. At that point, I was just like, I don't know. I was not comfortable and probably still wouldn't be that comfortable with that kind of access in that kind of setting. And what I mean by that was like training camp was always my like worst version of myself. What I mean by that, not like I was a bad person or something, but just like language goes out the window. You're totally focused on one thing. You're locked in. You're like everything kind of else falls away. And it's just like not the type of vibe that I would normally go with and be like super excited to share. And that was just me. That's not maybe how everybody did it, but I was just like, you know, everything builds to that, to making the team, to making sure that you're locked in for your position job to be able to play as high as you possibly can. And you know you're going to play in the preseason, and it's important. And, you know, I just was not about like anything that took away from that. And so I probably do it differently if I was around it now, just because I think I understand the power of kind of sharing your story a little bit better. But when I was in that, I was only worried about, you know, my job, my performance, our team, our offense, those types of things that I just never got comfortable with like a boom mic, you know, like you'd be like, you know, it'd be sitting right here, you know, flip it around the other way and be like, you know, and maybe I'm not saying the nicest thing about some wide receiver that just dropped the ball. You know, do I want that on HBO? Probably not. So I never got comfortable with the camera, the mic being around. It was just, I felt like it was a little real worldy, if that makes sense. Boom. Bruh, Rick.
Bruh.
Tim Tebow's in the chat. That got me. I'm not going to lie. I was ready for that. Brian. Do you encourage your players somewhat to play multiple sports, or do you try to get them to focus more on football? Do you encourage your players somewhat? I would say more than somewhat. I encourage them explicitly at every opportunity, especially when I'm around parents or other coaches or administrators, to reinforce the fact that we would love them to play other sports. Love them to play other sports. Now, I would still like them to lift if it's possible, but please run track, please throw, please play hoops, please play baseball, all of the above. Please play rugby. Yes, I think it's great on a number of different levels. Boom. Everglads. What does Lance need to learn to grow in to take the Niners to the next level? It's an interesting question, because the obvious answer is like everything, right? Like he's got to master the offense as quickly as possible. But I think there is a fine line between, and I'm sure they do a good job with this, of yes, you need to dive in and master the material, the offense, the structure, the scheme, the verbiage as fast as possible. And you got to be you. Like you got to make it your own. You got to play within the system, but allow this system to play for you. Don't be constrained by it. And make it better, I think is the best way to look at it. So you learn the rules and then you kind of morph them where you can, and you kind of make it better and create your own version of it is the best thing. And how quickly you can do that is, you know, how fast can you learn it and take those experiences to make it better. Will Brantley, what do you think of JT Daniels? I think he's got a great first name. Other than that, I don't think about him at all. I need to probably watch some Georgia at some point. I think I have some Georgia film, but I don't know for sure off the top of my head. Boom. Steve Ho. Would you rather have a good O-line or good weapons to throw the ball to? I would rather have both. If I had to pick, I would probably pick a better offensive line, but I would really like both. Andrew Oliver, big fan, first-time writer, long-time listener. You're off to a good start, not gonna lie. What was the toughest defensive front you went against in your career? What about the personnel scheme made it challenging for you and your line? Boom. Capea, appreciate you. Andrew, excellent question. I will say that when I was playing, the thing that gave us the most issues was what I think everybody still refers to as just bear. So the bear front really causes offenses to, there are only so many things you can run. And back in the day when I was playing, if we got into a bear or cub or whatever you want to call the sub version of it, mint tight nowadays, you almost had to check everything into certain plays. So like if we were running something, if we were running whatever, stretch, wide zone, outside zone to the field, and we got bared, we would almost always shift into something weak. And so it was, everything had a bear check to it. And so just being like, oh God, these guys have bear, or like they get into bear and normal down and distance, back in the day, that would cause issues. And so that was probably my biggest one. And then the other reason I didn't love the bear playing against it, normally you'd be like, well, let's just throw it. That's great. And you're right. It is great to throw against, with the idea that you can hold up, 5 one-on-one blocks at the line of scrimmage in the league, which is pretty tough. So those types of things, that was probably the one where I was like, just changed my mindset, where now it's like, okay, normally I would think I have, if a normal drop back game, I can take 3 and 2 hitches, or 3 and maybe 2.5 hitches to get it to the check down after 1-2, like 1-2 check down. Where if I'm facing a bear all day team, it's basically 3 hitch check down, 3 hitch run, 1-2 run, 1 run, those types of things. It's just I feel like the time clock was shorter in those one-on-one blocking situations. Good one. Oh, Brian, I don't have a good answer for that, but that's a great question. I probably spent most of my time in a locker room where the strength coach was the DJ. This was like pre super nice phones and Bluetooth. That's how old I am. That's a good question though. Robert Penix Jr., Indiana. I'm almost positive I did the Penn State game. Check it out. Ooh. Frank. I don't know if I could answer that. It's a good question, though. Lukes of Hazard. Bruh, welcome back.
Bruh.
Good to see everybody hanging out here on a nice little May 10th? Adkin K Scouting. Thoughts on Josh Allen? Do you think the Bills are ready to torch the league this year? I think I'm like everybody else about Josh Allen, just kind of amazed at the kind of trajectory of improvement. And if it continues, it's going to be pretty scary, pretty exciting to be a Buffalo Bills fan. My thing about the improvement like that is I always look at it as like I have a natural tendency to have more of like a long-term view. So if he can continue to improve at that rate, what does his play look like? And I think it's really cool when it's probably beyond the bounds of what, we're seeing from most people across the league. And so just if that rate of improvement can continue as steep as it was last year, and, there's no reason to think that it'd be difficult, but it certainly could, and it could get steeper. And so all those things put together, pretty cool and exciting for a Buffalo Bills fan. I'm a big fan. Boom. Chase, what's good? Appreciate you checking in. Well, we got Lukes of Hazard. How do you suggest young men and women to get into coaching football? Rec leagues, intramurals, want to start a camp, but did not play in college. That's interesting. I would probably suggest, and obviously this depends on like where you are in your stages of life here, but if you have the time and available, and if you're, might as well try to volunteer at the highest level possible. So if you like volunteer, if you find that you're close to a small college that is looking for volunteer help and you like the coach and get an opportunity to visit, volunteer, do whatever to get your foot in the door, I think that's probably the absolute best way to do it, the highest spot around you level-wise. But if you're, tucked away in some rural community and there's just a local high school, then there's nothing wrong with going and volunteering at the local high school to get your foot in the door. And then those kind of camp opportunities, you can grow, have that more like service community mindset tethered to once you're kind of at least got your toe in the water in the local area, as opposed to just like starting a random camp and not necessarily having your ins with the coaching community or the local youth leagues, things like that. So that's how I would suggest doing it. Doesn't mean that it hits every single time. It really doesn't. I have people reach out to me to volunteer and coach, and it just doesn't work out. But, people are usually looking for good help, especially if the price is right. Stevie Showcase, JT, do I go to Stone or AleSmith when I go to San Diego? Going to try to hit both. I would suggest both. I've never been to AleSmith, to be honest with you. Been to Stone many times. So do a couple more here. Nev Santos, can you go over different college offenses by coach? I don't know. I never tried. Coffee with Coach, yo JT, I just got married. Congratulations. Any advice balancing life, wife, family with the love of the game, coaching? Not sure I'm qualified to give advice here. Yeah, I mean, this is not necessarily tethered to marriage per se, but the way that I always think about it is I always kind of push back to the idea about trying to think of it in terms of balance. So balance to me implies 50-50, right? Like you think of like the judgment, like the lady holding the blind, holding the 50-50, right? Balanced. I think of it more as finding like peace and understanding like the harmony of what is going to happen. So what I mean by that is sometimes I'm going to be around more than I'm going to be around during the season. It's not like I'm, kiss my wife goodbye at the start of camp and be like, oh, I'll see you in the holidays. Like, no, like I would put it out there that we probably meet as little as just about any staff in the country at any level. But, you still have to go to practice. You still have to commute. You still have to do all those things that are prepare that you need to do to allow your team program to thrive. And so I just try to be upfront and say, hey, this is the busy time. This is my schedule. Try to be over communicate exactly what the expectations are. But again, I set the schedule, so it's a little bit easier. If I wasn't the head coach, it would be a lot harder if I'm at the whim of some other crazy to be like, we're going to meet on Sundays or we're going to do, post-practice things or anything like that. That's the benefit of being the head coach. But I think of it more as harmony where, it's never going to be a balance 50-50. There will be times where it's less. There will be times where it's more. But she and the family will always be the priority. And as long as, my actions reflect that, I think that's all I can offer. But that would be in any job. It wouldn't be like, just coaching. That's any job. You find the kind of harmony in what that schedule looks like. Boom. John Fallamore. Nope. Famlore. Next season, college ball. JT Daniels should light up college football at UGA like Burrow at LSU and Mac Jones did at Alabama. Question mark. Is that a question mark? I don't know anything about that dude, so I have no idea. Coffee with Coach. You're good, bro. What could go wrong? Patrick Collins checking in from the homeland, I think. How hated is Kroenke in America for moving the Rams? Not as much as Spanos is hated in San Diego. Lukes of Hazard. Appreciate that, JTO. One more question. What dynamic do you think Jalen Hurts brings to the Eagles with Devontae Smith? Can they be a 500 or above team? Can they be? Sure. It's going to be weird to see all these like college teammates hooking up to see if any of them, walk into kind of that a more advanced kind of perimeter relationship where they know and can feel and have that built up reps, banked reps that you see from guys who have played together for a long time. Can they be a 500 team? Sure. Who the hell am I to say that they can't? Will they be? I think it's going to be really difficult. I just do. I think that they're walking into a tough situation with a tough roster, and we'll see. I'm pulling for them, that's for sure. I enjoy watching Jalen Hurts play, and it'll be fun to see what that new staff looks like, how they try to do things. But new staff, some young players, thin roster. All right. Good luck. Boom. Hey, O'Sullivan, you all right? Good to catch another live stream. Benton, appreciate you. All right, let's do one more. Lock in here as I crank this thing up. Got any good ones? Michael, what's good, Michael? Good to see some familiar faces in here. Appreciate you guys. If they're, from all the people asking me about JT Daniels, maybe I'll do a JT Daniels video this week. I shouldn't need to make sure I have the film. But we got Sam Howell today or tomorrow. Sam Howell probably again on Wednesday, just because I didn't love how I thought he played in the game that I'm going to show tomorrow. Then maybe JT Daniels later in the week. Would Aaron Rodgers, Kaleidoscope, would Aaron Rodgers be a good fit for Pat Shurmur's offense? Aaron Rodgers would be a good fit for any person's offense. I don't know enough about Pat Shurmur to say, who would or wouldn't be a good fit. I think Aaron Rodgers could play in any offense. He's offense proof. I think it's just strange. There are so many things that are strange about that, but I know we have been spoiled with some of these players playing so well, so old, and I'm just, I always get nervous about that just because I know how I feel, and I couldn't imagine having to do what they're doing. Obviously, they take care of themselves at a much higher level than I do and have for the last few years, but still, it never kind of gets, pun intended, old on me that they're able to do this at such a high level. But Aaron, the way that he played last year, could play for anybody. Benton, boom. Bruh, you guys are keeping me in this thing. We got all sorts of Bronco talk here. What's your take on Locke? Broncos have tons of talent on offense, a decent line, and what looks to be a lights out defense. Do you think he's up to it? What I have seen does not lead me to think that he is up to it. And up to it, I mean like playoff Super Bowl type quarterback? No. Now, does that mean that he can't make a jump like Josh Allen made last year? No, it doesn't. It just means that what I've seen on film, and I don't watch every single Bronco play, but I have done a number of videos on Locke. What I have seen doesn't translate to what I would consider like a top tier guy playing on Sundays right now. So it'd be fascinating to see if he does. I know that there's some, obviously they're doing what they're doing at that position for a reason, and, we'll see. Edge Sanity 13, you said it. I didn't. Yeah, I know. Lots of people were hoping that Lukes of Hazard. Again, I appreciate the support. Thanks for hanging out. We will do it again next Monday for sure. Maybe midweek live again, just for fun, for people who don't quite have this evening time slot in the States. Other than that, I appreciate the support, and I will see you on the other side.